Regardless of what side of the political divide we're on, it is probably a true statement to say that we have developed some aversion to the other side. I know I have, particularly in the last grueling months of campaigning and trying to follow the candidate that I've been supporting. And so, given that we're still sort of waiting for a decision, and given that myself and probably some of you have to start looking at how do we heal our hearts from all of the aversion that we've generated, I thought I would talk about something that Shantideva taught us on his beloved text, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. So in that text, Shantideva talks about 3 different kinds of patience or fortitude. It's one is how to accept suffering voluntarily. The second one is the fortitude of thinking and practicing the Dharma. And the third is the fortitude of no retaliation. And so, how do we go about voluntarily accepting suffering? And this we can do by remembering that suffering is basically the nature of cyclic existence, where we're stuck. It comes without us wanting for it to come. And once it comes, all we can do is try to work with our mind to deal with it in a positive and constructive way. And so likewise, whatever is coming in the next few days, months, and years, all we can do about it is try to work with it in a constructive and positive way. And also recognizing that we have created the causes for whatever we're experiencing, whether it's a positive result, whether it brings us happiness or not, that's something that we ourselves have created with our prior behavior. And so instead of asking ourselves, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me at this moment? Then we can just say, well, I understand why this is happening. And now I can work to try to avoid creating the causes for having more of these experiences, this type of experiences in the future. And in terms of cultivating the fortitude of thinking and practicing the Dharma, we can also recognize that the ultimate culprit of our unhappiness is our own self-centered thought, and how we been habituated lifetime after lifetime. We've been habituating to thinking ourselves first and foremost, and not considering the happiness and the needs of others. And so that leads us hopefully to the desire of wanting to change that, of wanting to transform this attitude of self-centeredness into one that considers others as actually our the center of our activity, the center of our wish for happiness. And recognizing that those who cause us unhappiness, those who make us frustrated or angry, those whom we label as challenging, and we actually need them on our path to full awakening. We actually need them in order to generate all of the positive qualities that we need to generate on the path to Buddhahood. And so even though for the last few months we might have engaged in pointing the finger at those from a different political spectrum, in reality we should be grateful that they are there and they are providing us with ample opportunity to generate understanding, compassion, altruism, fortitude, and all the other qualities of the bodhisattvas. and taking advantage of the opportunity that they're offering us to actually work and practice and transform the experience into one of Dharma practice. And perhaps one of the most difficult for me is to actually look at the situation, and instead of thinking this is a horrible experience, to actually cherish the experience and turn it around and think this is a great experience. This is something that is fueling my desire for renunciation. This is something that's fueling my desire for wisdom. This is something that's fueling my need to generate compassion and altruism. Lastly, one that I've also been working with for a long time, it's fortitude of not trying to, not trying to pay in kind, not to the patience of no retribution, no retaliation. This is one that I've engaged in prior to coming to the Abbey, I would say. I was quite adept at retaliating in a number of ways. And I have since recognized how this behavior does not contribute to my happiness or the harmony of those around me. And I've developed a sincere desire to leave that behind. But I must say that the desire, the impulse to retaliate in whatever way, big or small, still arises. And I need to work with that, particularly as we move into this next step in the political arena in the political life in this country, that there's a need for a lot of healing, and retaliation in any way, shape, or form does not contribute to harmony, unity, and understanding. And so in order to look at how we retaliate at a large scale, we really have to look at how we retaliate in a smaller scale and try to rein in that behavior in ourselves. And that's exactly what I'm wanting to do with my own habit. And I try to remember what are the disadvantages of acting in this way, and allowing myself to be moved with the afflictions, and allowing myself to then engage in negative actions, whether they're small or large, it doesn't really matter. Each one of them feeds future actions of engaging in the same behavior. And so I've had to really decide that what's most helpful for me is to really make a strong determination to allow myself to be swept by or moved by those impulses that I used to indulge in the past. And then also recognizing that the other person or the other group is in the exact same place, in the exact same position that we are, acting automatically out of habituation, out of confusion, out of misunderstanding. And then giving that space in our heart to then develop understanding and develop even forgiveness for whatever either actual or projected harm they might have inflicted on ourselves, on us, on our group, etc. So practicing fortitude is not easy, and it requires that we be quite vigilant as to what we think, say, and do. And I know for me, sometimes when I get distracted, I get careless, or I simply get wrapped up into the strength of the moment, the emotion of that moment, the affliction, the strength of the affliction that is coming up, then it's easier for me to sort of fall back into old patterns of behavior. And so it requires really a little bit of a mental muscle to be more aware, to be more cognizant of my actions of body, speech, and mind, and then to bring to the forefront immediately, as quickly as possible, the determination of doing the opposite, the very strong determination to not engage in that action again. So we've been studying Shantideva now for a while. It's one of my favorite texts, and whenever we come to this chapter, the chapter on fortitude, I really find a lot of fuel for my practice. I try to coat this practice of fortitude with a lot of bodhicitta aspirations, because the bodhicitta helps me overcome that vastness of the bodhicitta helps me overcome a lot of the barriers and obstacles that my own mind puts up whenever I try to engage in this type of practices of fortitude, of patience, of being more understanding and more compassionate. So I just wanted to offer this today in case it's helpful to anyone as we move through the completion of this election process that we're all in. So, thank you.